Welcome to Patty's Place, a place where we will talk about grief, dementia, and caregiving. I'm your host, Lisa. I named this podcast in honor of my mom, Pat, who passed away from dementia about 2 years ago. So grab your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, or if you're having a really bad day, a glass of wine, and come join us, and just so you know you're not alone. So today our guest is Cindy J. Burns. She is a grief coach, a grief doula, and a certified life purpose, life coach, and a happiness coach. So, Cindy, welcome to Patty's Place.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm excited about this. So, can you tell me what is a grief doula?
A grief doula is, have you heard of a death doula?
I have, but I don't exactly know what they
Okay.
do.
The death doula helps prepare the family and the patient for want of a better word, a beautiful death.
Okay.
To death with dignity.
Okay.
But they also help with advising on paperwork. They try to encourage the patient to do a remembrance video or book, or something to record their thoughts and feelings and things that they've wanted to say and that kind of thing. So a grief doula comes in after the fact.
Okay.
And so I can work with people who are freshly grieving. That's what the doula part is.
Okay.
The life purpose and happiness coach comes in a little bit later.
A little bit like that. So, I was going to say, so with I'm sure when you're dealing with the end of life, there's that anticipatory grief. So is that what the death doula would deal with, or was that something?
Yes.
Oh, okay. For that, in terms even with the family members and that's what they
Yes,
would.
and they're usually present with the family at the time of death.
Okay.
If they can be.
Okay. So I noticed you have on here on your, and we'll talk about your website too as well. But how do you allow grief to become a powerful source of strength and growth?
Well, what I do is I work with widows primarily. I call myself a widow coach now.
Okay.
And they're usually at a point in their grief where they're just tired of pretending to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I help them go from living in grief to living with their grief.
Okay.
So you lose your identity a little bit when you lose your spouse. You're not the same person you were when you were part of a couple, but you don't know who you are now.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. You have to figure out who you are, who you want to be, and I help with that.
You mentioned that you help them to go from living in grief to living with grief.
Correct.
So what's like that transition? Like what's the difference between living in grief and living with grief?
When you live in grief, grief is your primary emotion. It's what colors every day, every moment of every day. Living with grief never goes away completely.
Right.
And living with grief means it's kind of under the radar. You're actually living a life,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have to, but you're not crying all the time. You're constantly in grief. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does. And you mentioned you call yourself more of a widow coach. So can you talk a little bit more about how is losing a spouse a different type of grief?
All grief is terrible.
Yes.
Every grief is different.
Mm-hmm.
My father died in 2001. My husband died in 2011, exactly 10 years to the day after my father did.
Okay.
And my mother died 2 years later on Friday the 13th of December in 2013. So.
I actually, December 13th is actually, I had 2 family members pass away on that day. Not on the same year, but the year after,
Yeah.
the following 2 years. So
Yeah.
something about that
And
date.
yeah, each grief, each time I grieved, it was a little different
Mhm.
because of my relationship with one of my parents or my husband, because of you kind of expect that you're going to outlive your parents.
Mhm.
So it's hard. It's very hard, especially if you're really close to your parent.
Mhm.
Um, but unless they were part of your everyday life, you can go on.
Mhm.
You can live a life, and they're not top of mind after the initial grief.
Right.
Eventually they're not top of mind. Whereas a spouse, they're part of your everyday life. You see them in the morning, you see them in the evening. If they're retired, you see them all day long if
Mhm.
you're also retired.
Right.
Um, you make plans for the future. You talk about what you're going to do in 5 years or whatever,
Mhm.
someday when we win the lottery kind of thing.
Right.
And when that's gone, it's it just takes away your life because you don't know what's now you have to create a new future for yourself, and you can't even think about it. You can't imagine it.
That makes sense. It really does, that it is a different type of grief with that.
Yes. Now I have a friend who her mother was part of her daily life. They talked on the phone like 10 times a day.
Mhm.
They lived near
Right.
each other. They visited. She saw her every day. And she died last year on Mother's Day.
Mm.
And she's still grieving hard for her because she was part of her life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean when somebody's part of your life every day, it just becomes different, for that. So, what do you tell widows or widowers about handling the loneliness? Because my dad talks about that. My mom and dad were married 54 years.
Oh, wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah, so how do you help them with that?
Yeah, I was married for 33. Um, Baby steps.
Okay.
You don't become unlonely, in one day.
Right.
What I do is I take people through a series of baby steps. I have them try to think of a small goal,
Mhm.
something that's fairly easily achievable, but they haven't done yet, like eating in a restaurant alone. That's a big one.
Mhm.
That's a hard one, especially for women to do. So we do little baby steps. It's like one day you're going to get dressed up as if you're going out, but you don't have to.
Mhm.
Another day, you're going to get dressed, you're going to get in your car, and you're going to drive past the restaurant that you want to go to. Little baby steps to help ease you into it so that by the time you actually go in and sit down, it's not so scary anymore.
Mhm.
So it's getting used to a new life, a new way of life. And for loneliness, you've got to get out there. You've got to find an interest. It's really hard to make friends as an adult.
Yeah, it is.
And unfortunately, when your spouse dies, you lose friends
Mhm.
because they're part of a couple and they don't want to make you feel like a third or fifth wheel.
Mhm.
They, some people are uncomfortable around people who are grieving,
Yes.
so they don't reach out. Others are like, but we'll give him or her some space. Well, that's okay for maybe the first day or two,
Right,
but
right.
after that, you need to show up.
Yeah.
That's my advice for people who know somebody who's grieving. Show up. But for the person who is grieving, show up yourself. Reach out to people that you may have become estranged from for no no good reason, no
Mhm.
apparent reason. You didn't have an argument or anything like that. It's just you've lost contact. Um,
Y
find a club,
y
find something that you're interested in. Join an art club, take some classes. Um, I joined Toastmasters.
Okay.
I joined I joined an art club and I was terrible at it. But I enjoyed the camaraderie and the people that I met there. Um,
My dad's been doing some volunteering in that, so that helps
yep,
him, with that.
yep, that's another thing, volunteer.
What would you say about I know that for people who obviously you probably live together if you were if it was your spouse, what advice or what do you say how hard it is being in that home now that they're not there anymore?
When I After my husband died, he was in the hospital from May through August,
Okay.
and I stayed there with him the
Mhm.
entire time. So when he died, I went back home to my house, and I just stood there leaning up with my back against the door saying, "I can't go in there without him."
Mhm.
And I think that was the first time my kids ever saw me cry. And so that was difficult. But then obviously I had to go in, and I did it. You have to work through the pain. You've got to take that step, and chances are it may not be as bad as you thought it was going to be. And if it is, well, then change your routine or don't go in that room or, keep his closet closed, or, something like, different things trigger.
Mhm.
You can either choose to embrace it and create um, like a memorial table where you've got their picture and you've got little things that remind you. I've got this little guy here
Mhm.
that reminds me of Dan. And, you know, little things like that, that when you look at it, you smile. And those are very helpful. It's now if they died in the house,
Mhm.
that's difficult.
Yeah.
That is difficult. But maybe not remodeling, but rearranging the furniture in the room they died in, painting the walls, put up new curtains, whatever, small things. Don't change it completely,
Right.
but small things so that it doesn't remind you of them every time in a bad way,
Okay.
every time you walk into the room.
Right, because they may find comfort. You might find comfort if it
Oh, yeah.
reminds you of them. So then that's okay if you find comfort or if it takes you a while to clean out some other things and stuff like that. You know, I think there's like two worlds of thought. Some people are like, you got to do it right away, and other people tell you it's okay. I think the combination of both, I think, is probably,
Yep.
I don't want
Yep.
to say the healthiest, but maybe the easiest because some things you do want to go through, and other things you're like, I just can't do this right now, you know?
Exactly. He collected um, magazines about railroads,
Okay.
and I knew a fellow at church, so I gave him the magazines. That was easy to do.
Mhm.
I still in the closet. He was a police officer before he
Okay.
retired, so I've got two of his uniform shirts in the closet still. And after he retired, he pretty much wore only tie dye shirts,
Okay.
t-shirts. So I've got two of those in the closet as well. They're off to the side, and I don't
Right.
see them or notice them every day. But when I do, it makes me smile.
Mhm. Yeah. I think, I tell people too, yeah, like sometimes I'll wear my mom's, some of her shirts or things like that,
Yeah,
and it brings me comfort. There's a little jacket she used to wear all the time, and sometimes I, put it on, obviously, if I'm a cold, but, or sometimes I just put it on because I want that comfort because she wore it all the time.
I
When,
have my mother's nightgowns.
yeah, yeah, sometimes it just, or, something that they loved brings you,
Yeah.
I find comfort with it. What advice do you give widows that are about handling things that their loved one used to handle?
It again, it depends on what it is.
Mhm.
If it's the finances, I would suggest, if you've never handled finances before,
Mhm.
and it's more than just paying the bills, I would talk with a financial planner. It does, most financial planners will work with anyone. You
Mhm.
don't have to have $1 million to
Right.
consult a financial planner, or go to your bank, make an appointment with a banker. That's free, you know.
Mhm.
And usually with a financial planner, your first visit is free as well. The consultation is free, um, and they love to help people figure things out. They're number people,
Right,
so they
right.
love that. I remember when my father-in-law died, my mother-in-law had never written a check. My husband had to go over and teach her how to write a check. So turn to people that you know and that you love. Take a class if you need to.
Mhm.
If it's something like handyman kind of things, or changing the oil in your car, those are kind of things that you might want to pay somebody to do, or find a relative or somebody that'll do it for pizza or
Right,
something.
right. What do you say for the anger? Because I know sometimes the anger comes up of the fact that, they used to do this and now they're not here.
Yeah, I was not prepared. I didn't call it anger. I called it rage.
Okay. Okay.
I was not prepared for that. I didn't expect it. Um, there are a lot of cities and towns now have smash rooms or smash yards. If
Mhm.
they don't, um, go to like a local salvage yard or trash dump or something and ask, you know, can I break things here? Can I come in and break things?
Yeah.
And because that's what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to break anything of mine.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And I actually thought about, and I'm scared to death of guns. When my husband had it for his work, I wouldn't touch it. Um, but I actually thought about going to a gun range and renting a gun and doing some target practice.
Yeah.
But I didn't. But I thought about it, and
Yeah.
even sometimes just thinking about it makes you feel better.
Right, because I know that brings on even more grief in that because it's like they used to do this, whether it was taking care of the car, like they took it in for an oil change or whatever, and they're not here anymore, or especially or repairs around the house and stuff like that, where you just feel like that's that trigger, like
Yeah,
it all over again because they're not here and they should be here to take care of it.
yeah. The first year I let my car license plates and the inspection lapse, because Dan always did that, and it just
Mm,
didn't even dawn on me that it needed to be done at on a certain. I never looked at the date
mhm.
till I got pulled over.
Okay.
But he was nice. He let me go. He said, "Just get it done." So,
Okay. Yeah.
um, but yeah, when they do things like that, it is hard to figure it out, but it gives you a sense of pride. It gives you a sense of accomplishment when you do figure it out.
Mhm. Yeah, because it can be overwhelming, you know?
Very much so.
Yeah, it can be. So, do you tell people that it's okay if they just start crying about it or they feel rage?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's just part of grief. And
I tell everybody, feel your feelings. Don't swallow them. Don't keep them inside. I did that.
okay.
I didn't want my sons, they were adults,
Mhm.
but I didn't want them to see me, you know, crying or miserable. But the thing is, they kind of wanted me to, so that they could help comfort me, because that would have helped comfort them.
Mhm.
And so I kind of robbed them of that. And then I ended up with a bleeding ulcer a few
Oh,
years
okay.
later. So,
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that's just
so yeah, feel your feelings. They can be overwhelming. You can start crying and you think you're not going to stop, but you do.
yeah.
You stop at least for that next hour.
Yeah, and to also it's okay to ask for help yourself too.
Oh, yeah.
If it's something that you've never done and your spouse used to always do it, then ask somebody, hey, do you know a good place to take my car? And sometimes as simple as that.
So many places have a Facebook group where you can ask questions like that. A
Yeah.
local Facebook group, and you can go in and you can ask. Has anybody got a car repair place that you would recommend? And you'll not only get the recommendations, but you'll also say, here, stay away from this one.
Right, right. For
So
that.
it helps.
Yeah. I know my dad, he struggled with cooking because my mom did all the cooking. So like things like that. He actually went to the hospice that we go to. They actually had like a session, a training session or seminar about cooking for one and
Ah,
how to work through all that, because it is hard if you're always that other person always used to do the cooking. Now you have to do that. That can be overwhelming too. S- You
oh yeah,
know,
my husband did the majority of our cooking. I can cook, I just don't like it.
exactly. Yeah. So it's like, okay, but you have to eat. So now what do you do?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
to do that. So you're also a happiness coach. So what is a happiness coach?
I teach people or advise people to start looking for just small things that can cause them joy. Little tiny microseconds of joy if you have to.
Hmm.
For me, I don't like the color yellow,
Okay.
not in clothing, not on walls, but seeing a really pretty buttery yellow always makes me smile. So I look around, my room and see what I can find that's yellow. Or I go online and look. Um, I also have I haven't listened to it in a long time, but I have a sound file of a baby laughing, because I'm sorry, you can't not smile when you hear that,
Oh
when you hear
yeah.
a baby laughing.
Sometimes I like follow and I know they're all AI, but they're the AI babies like on Instagram, and I
Yes,
can't help it. It makes me smile.
exactly. So
Yeah.
you find small moments of joy and eventually they add up. I was pessimistic optimist
Okay.
where I didn't really expect the good things to happen, but I hoped they would.
Mhm.
Now I know things are going to work out the way they're supposed to. I'm definitely an optimist. I smile and laugh more times than I don't. I am mood wise, I'm a completely different person than I used to be. I'm not quite sure when or how that happened. I think it was over time.
Mhm.
It was gradual, but also, taking the happiness coach course helped a lot too.
And would you tell people that it's okay to laugh eh, when they're grieving? That it's okay to feel joy and laughter? That's all
Joy
part.
and grief, yeah, joy and grief can exist at the same time. They can coexist. They're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't need to feel guilty if you're laughing
No. Guilt
because
is a big part of grief,
yeah.
and there's no reason for most of it. Um, so you've got to come to grips with that. You got to forgive yourself. You got to forgive the doctors. You got to forgive whoever you're, blaming, and forgive yourself when you laugh. We laughed at my husband's calling hours. My sons, we have six sons, and they all try to outdo each other with the comments and the sarcasm and all of
Yeah.
that. And it's the way we deal with things. It's
Mhm.
dark humor.
Yeah.
But we laughed, and people probably thought we were nuts, but that's okay. That's
Yeah.
who we are, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I also saw on your website you have that you say gratitude plays a role in grief and you offer a 28-day gratitude journal. So
Yes.
how does gratitude play a role in grief?
When you consciously look for something to be grateful for, eventually you don't have to look for it. It's just there.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's true, but they say that 28 days is what it takes to establish a habit. I think
Mhm.
it's longer than that, but
Mhm.
so yeah, learning to be grateful for little things. You don't have to be grateful for everything, but just little things like the sun shining today. You know, um, my neighbor's rooster is crowing. You know,
Well, like
just little
yesterday,
things.
I was grateful because I had to take my dad to the VA, and so it was supposed to storm, and I was just like, "Could you just please not have it storm when I'm driving?" Because it's like an hour away. I'm like, I just don't want to drive in the rain to and from, and it didn't. So I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." Like I just didn't want to have to
Yeah,
deal with that, you
yeah.
know. And yeah,
And
like,
you don't have. I mean, I'm a Christian, but you don't have to be in order to feel grateful. You
right.
can be. You can just be happy that something good happened.
You find a good parking spot. I'm always grateful for
Yeah,
that too.
yeah. It's amazing all the little things, no matter how bad you think your day is going, when you make a conscious effort to look for something good happening in that day, it's amazing how it can change your whole mood and attitude for the day.
It is, yeah. Like I don't think about it, but when I do try to consciously do this, it does make a difference. You do feel
Yeah,
better with it. And like I
yeah,
said, start out small. Like, okay, it just didn't rain when you were driving. I'm grateful for those
exactly.
things. So you also work with people on your website, correct? People can work with you, set up time to work with you together.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I work online primarily. Um, I am working on setting up a grief group at my church. Um, but that's a little different. That's gonna, that's gonna include anybody that
Mm-hmm.
wants to come. It's not part of my um, business plan. But yeah, I generally work with people online. We can do it through Zoom. We can do it, whatever video program they like to use, or we can just do it over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the client is comfortable with.
And your website is cindyjburns.com, correct?
Yes.
And they can it's like you said, you could do either for the grief doula, the grief coach, life purpose, life coach. You kind of cover it all, happiness coach, everything
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that.
Um, like I said, primarily, I consider myself a widow coach,
Mhm.
but if somebody wants to talk to me, I'll talk. I have a 20-minute free consult to see if we get along and if you think I can help. Um, and then there's for widows, I just put it up this weekend. I have a quiz you can take.
Okay.
And that's at cindyjburns.com/quiz and then the number 2,
Okay.
because I had to try it twice.
So they can with that and that quiz kind of helps to see if
Yeah,
if
it's just a 4-question quiz, and it's not difficult. You can do it in under 2 minutes.
mhm.
And it kind of helps put things into perspective. You kind of figure out where you are in your grief, what's causing you the most feeling stuck.
Okay.
Because, it took me 7 years to realize that I was stuck in
Okay.
my grief. And I pulled myself out of it alone. And once things started to turn around for me, I decided that I didn't want anybody else to have to go through that alone if I could help it. So that's where my business
How did you know
came
you were
from.
stuck? Why do you say you were stuck for 7 years?
Because by that time I was retired. My kids were all grown. There was a few years in there where some of my children needed me to be there physically, one in Colorado, one in Virginia Beach. And for one was multiple years,
Mhm.
and the other was a whole summer. But they had different things going on. And but after 7 years, I was finally home. I was retired, and I had to get out of bed in the morning because my mattress was terrible, and if I didn't, I'd end up with a backache.
Mhm.
But I get out of bed and move to my recliner and pretty much stay there the entire day watching TV or playing on my phone. And one day I just looked at my life and I thought, I could live another 20 or 30 years. Do I want this to be my life for 20 or 30 years?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the answer was a big, huge no way. So that's when I consciously made an effort to change. And it was baby steps. It took a while, but I'm so glad I did. And
Well,
I wish there was a me back when I needed a me.
yeah, I can understand that with it, and it is hard. It's hard when you're in the middle of all going through all that. You sometimes just don't know which way to turn
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate
Thank
this.
you for having me. I enjoyed speaking with you. This
Yes.
was
So
fun.
the website is cindyjburns.com. So you can, learn all about her services and hopefully you can help other
Some
people.
of the links are broken, but I'm working on fixing that. So.
Okay. All right. Well, there's your contact one though works, correct?
Yes, yeah, there's
Okay.
contact on there.
Okay. People can always do that for it.
Okay.
So, well, I hope everyone has enjoyed our conversation today for it, especially if you are a widow or widower. So I hope you enjoyed your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, or if you had that really bad day, your glass of wine. Uh, and please leave us a review, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please join us again for another edition of Patty's Place.